Here with me in studio is Benjamin Anthony, the co-founder and CEO of the Miriam Institute. I want to switch angles now from the gut-wrenching testimonies to the security angle. When Benjamin Netanyahu first spoke after the massacre, after hearing what was going on in terms of the situation of Hamas's onslaught in the south, the comment that Israelis probably needed to hear was that we are going to wipe Hamas out. And instead, it was the same comment that many of us are used to of, we'll deal them a decisive blow. And since then, we've had many ministers changing their rhetoric, their narrative, saying we are going to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth. There will be no more Hamas in Gaza. But we are seeing sort of from some, Moshe Ya'alon, the former defense minister, coming out and saying, well, Israelis may need to lower their expectations. Where do we draw the line here between not having Hamas anymore on our borders versus reality?
Well, I don't think that we're hearing conflicting messages from the Prime Minister and various ministers. I think what we're actually hearing is perhaps escalating messages. So Benjamin Netanyahu, as you said, did begin by saying that we're going to deal a very heavy blow, one that will not be forgotten, to Hamas, and that will change the shape and the contours of the area, the region, the Middle East, and so forth. But today you heard Defense Minister Yoav Gallant standing next to his American counterpart, speaking very definitively about his resolve to wipe out and to destroy Hamas. Now, I would suggest that we focus upon those who are in situ rather than individuals as expert as they may be, such as Moshe Ya'alon, former defense minister, as you said, what they have to say from the outside. I think the time will tell. I think that we will see whether or not a ground incursion is indeed brought about. Many expect that to be the case, but I can tell you, having just been down in the southern part of the country, having been among the troops just earlier this afternoon, there is no question but that the Israeli people, who are our soldiers and our citizens, they want to see the utter destruction of Hamas. Whether that will come about or not, we'll wait and see.
Right, and again, this isn't from a point of an offensive or an attack on Hamas, or even on the Palestinian people for that matter. It's a matter of retaliation. We're talking about Israel being hit first and then obviously retaliating to that hit. And you mentioned that there is the possibility of a ground incursion. Obviously, that is being reported widespread across the board, not just here in Israel. But infantry troops and tanks did enter Gaza today, being Friday, for what they're calling localized raids to clear the area of terrorists. Explain this just from a security point of view, because to many watching, the terrorists were in Israeli territory, crossing through the border fence, breaking it down, coming into kibbutzim, moshavim, all the communities in the south. Why would then the IDF be clearing the terrorists from the area inside the Gaza Strip?
So first of all, a little bit of context. When you speak about retaliation, a country cannot survive in this region if it falls prey to a horrific attack such as the one that we all bore witness to this past Saturday morning, unless it retaliates, unless it actually, dare I speak the word, brings vengeance to those who wrought such horrors upon our people. We need to retaliate. It needs to be strong. It needs to be decisive. And as I say, the extent of that retaliation remains to be seen. We've got the war cabinet that's now been brought about. We'll see what they decide. I'm a little bit skeptical, though I am a minority voice on this particular point. I don't know if Prime Minister Netanyahu and Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot, who have all worked together with regard to the Gaza front several times in the past and have always chosen a cautious approach to that front, I'm skeptical as to whether or not we'll see them change tactics, change strategy, and go with Defense Minister Gallant. What's very interesting about this, of course, is that Gallant is a bit of an unknown quantity here. Gallant is the current defense minister. We have not seen him work with Prime Minister Netanyahu in this capacity. He may be able to pound his fist on the table and say the destruction of Hamas is what's needed and what we are going to pursue. Now, with regard to our movement there into the Gaza Strip, I think that it makes all the sense in the world that we clear the area as best we can of anybody and everybody. That's why you're seeing the Air Force flying sorties over the Strip. They are trying to soften the ground for the ground troops to move in the case that that happens, of course, in order to reduce to its lowest number the number of casualties and soldiers that we receive back in an injured or worse state. That has to be undertaken. It is being undertaken in a very professional manner. And I hope that we are going to take the gloves off and hit them with a clenched, rolled, balled up fist, ready to smash our enemy.
Because at the end of the day, this is an existential threat, and it's been made very
Absolutely.
clear. It's either us or them.
And I thank you for saying that, because for many, many years, and you will have heard this as well, so-called experts have said that the Gaza Strip does not constitute a strategic threat. It's a low-level threat. They were wrong. I've believed that they were wrong and spoken about the fact that they were wrong. They misunderstood the situation there. We entered into, as a people, as a government, our upper security establishment as well, we entered into a mindset of complacency, of failing to understand the intentions of our enemies. And now, unfortunately, too many of our citizens have paid the price, and too many of our citizens and soldiers are being held hostages, and we must bring back those hostages.
Benjamin Anthony, the co-founder and CEO of the Miriam Institute, thank you so much for being here in studio on our rolling and breaking news coverage.
Thank you for having me.